that carried over into developing GXBolt. And so now you start asking yourself, well, speed, is the end all be all. It's like money. Everybody wants it. You can never have enough of it.
Right.
And most of all sports that's played on the horizontal plane is dominated by speed, right?
Field sports, you got to be able to run.
And so you start to dive into the science of that. There's the code, and then there's formulas and ingredients that has to be followed in order to get the ultimate code of speed. You start talking about stride. You start rate of force production, stride length, stride frequency, proper sprinting mechanics. Then you tie that into specific races or runs like the 40, 100, 200, things of that nature. You have to break that down, and what does it look like?
Okay. With that said, I am here with Mark Potter. He is the inventor of the GXBolt, and GXBolt is an ultimate workout exercise machine to develop speed and to develop linear speed as well as lateral speed, power, and explosive movement. So we've been talking about it. So let's find out, what is this thing? What does it look like? Where can they find it? Where can you find the GXBolt? If I was online and I wanted to find out, I need my 12-year-old to run faster. And what equipment or what machine can I buy to help with speed? And the GXBolt pops up. What is it?
So GXBolt is a mobile resistance training device, and should I say it's the only functional and fully mobile resistance training technology that simply aids an athlete to develop speed in totality, from first step quickness, acceleration, drive phase, transition phase, maximum velocity development. You're talking about speed endurance, the whole gambit. GXBolt is a end all be all.
So the GXBolt sounds like it is a machine that allows you to put more power and force in the ground to run further and faster than your opponents by being strong and using proper mechanics with resistance. Is that what that is?
Correct.
So is it a bungee apparatus? Is it a hydraulic apparatus? Is it a sled? Is it like, if we were to describe it, where can you find it first? Where?
So the website is www.gxbolt.com.
Okay.
You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GXBolt.
Okay, perfect. So now we have the machine. How much does it weigh?
It's 50 pounds. It's only 50 pounds.
All right. So now when to tote it, we just throw it in the back of the truck, then take it off the truck, sit it down, and then we can roll.
Correct.
Okay. How much workspace do we get with it? Like, what is it? Does it pull me back? Is it like, we'll talk about comparisons in a bit, but what is its purpose? So how do I engage in it? And then Miss P, if you're getting online, we got Miss P on the ones and twos back in the house right on time. I need you to pull up that GXBolt online, drop it on the Facebook page so people can see what that machine looks like and understand what he's describing. So if I were to connect myself to it, what would be the first thing you would show me whenever I'm getting ready?
So it works as a traditional sled. It's still a sled.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you start talking about speed, you have to have a form of weight-based training in order to produce and increase speed, right? And so that.
Why is that?
So applied force. The more force you can apply, the faster you are.
So let me ask you this, because you are the speed guy. I
think
kind of
so.
act like
I hope so.
I kind of act like I know what I'm talking about, but I like where we're going with
same.
this. So I would tell my athletes a lot of times, we can't go faster until we get under that hood and fix the mechanics. So you're gonna look better. Like, you're gonna, in about 8 to 12 weeks, you're gonna look fantastic, but you're not gonna be faster because I haven't taught you how to run fast.
Correct.
I've just shown you how to run. So is that basically, after being shown how to run, now the machine is the assister in running fast, is what you're saying?
In some capacity. So there's a drill
Okay.
we have, that straight leg run, because you have the machine and it has it's still a traditional sled to a degree, but then you have resistance. So you can isolate athletes and drills in segments. So I'm gonna use one drill, for example, like the straight leg runs. You can place the athlete you can place the harness on the athlete as they fall and they start to conduct the straight leg drill, right? So now you're working on ankle strength, you're working on proper sprinting mechanics, lower body wise, you're working on foot placement, hip flexor development, teaching the athlete how to push off of each stride right before the leg goes airborne.
Thank you.
Right?
And can you give an example of that? Because a lot of people think that the speed comes from slamming the foot down on the ground, applying force that way, when every part of your foot has a real purpose in running and stopping. So when you say that, help them understand, like, right before the foot gets airborne, what do you mean by applying force? We're pressing the ball of the foot, like.
So the stiffer the lever, the greater the force, right? So when you start to increase the ankle joint, knee joint, hip joint, right, then that's greater force that's being applied. So the straight leg runs really help athletes develop that, and we suggest 40 yards to really been able to teach the athlete the correct form and getting them to feel and understand the movement, because you have a lot of athletes, they'll come heel toe, and so being able to slam that foot down, or at least the ball of the foot right in front, right in front of the hip as the
right
hips
underneath your body, yep, right in front of the hip,
right slightly in front, but the hips pass over. And now with the leg, you start to push, and that's when it goes into the flight phase. And so then with the resistant bands, you have the athlete connected to the ankles, and now they really have to kick. So you're talking about hip flexor development at this point. And so that's a drill that we use. And then upper body, obviously the proper sprinting mechanics. Derek and I talk about this all the time, where
who is Derek?
Derek Brew.
Okay.
Derek Brew is he's a 2004 Olympic gold and bronze medalist. He endorsed the product, but he's a part of the GXBolt team. And so we talk about the science and all of this stuff pretty regularly. But with the arms, you're talking about being able to properly drive and correct proper sprinting mechanics with the arms, and then you can progress that drill by connecting the resistance to the arms.
Got it. That makes sense. So what in comparison, what would you compare this to? So there are some machines that I am extremely fond of. Some hydraulic based, some lever based, and then there are some that I would never suggest ever. And I'll give an example right now: the parachute. Ladies and gentlemen, use it at your own discretion. But as a speed development coach, I would only use parachutes for diving out of planes. But there's a bunch of reasons for that, and most of it is mechanical integrity. You lose mechanical integrity. Right. So what would be the thing that the machine helps you focus on, and what are some comparables? Like what products out there has it been compared to?
So again, GXBolt is still a sled base, because you have to have some weight based training to improve speed, right? And so then you start tying in, like I said, the resistant speed cords to the arms and legs, and that. So the weight base allows the athlete to improve rate of force production. But then when you look at the resistant bands and where they're strategically located for the limbs to move and develop high rates of speed, right?
So you get full functionality.
Through the full range of motion, right? And so when you look at the drive phase, and we're going to use this as an example, the drive phase, and it's track and field. So in 100 meters. Drive phase is 30 meters. Right?
What is the drive phase for all of our laymen out there? Because for football, people think the drive phase is 10 yards. First 10 yards, 40 yards, and then you just run as fast as you can. That's the furthest thing from accurate. However, it's like what would you consider?
So the drive phase is where the body is in the angled position to significantly increase force production that allows the athlete to push down the track, like pushing the track behind them, right? And so that lasts for 30 meters. You're building up to maximum velocity, right? And so with GXBolt, what makes it different than anything else in the market is the fact that you can have this one device where you can train the entire drive phase in totality. So now when you start talking about muscle development, anything else, it's one you can only train this 30 meters, but you can only get 22 meters out of it. Well, before you get to 22 meters, at 17, you got to start hitting the brakes. So now we're talking about muscle development. So you're neglecting the muscles from transitioning over to the upright posture where the athlete starts to continue to accelerate, right? So you reach maximum velocity.
So what you're saying is you increase the power through the drive phase, or how long you can push hard enough to get to max speed before having to turn over, almost like a swimmer who can stay underneath the water. But
Correct.
So it keeps you from the backside mechanics and the turnover phase until you absolutely need to do it.
Until you start to make that transition.
There is not another machine out there on the world that can do that.
No.
And so because sled can't do it. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited.
So when you start looking at a sled, so what they want is a sled. It does work on the drive phase, but that's it. And so as the posture change, well, you have two connections, right? So you have the waist, and then you have the small of the back. Well, you're still, by that connection, the athlete wants to bend over and neglect the muscles from transitioning to accelerate, right? And so with GXBolt, you just change and connect the resistance to the arms and legs, because what generates the power, the stride, changes from the drive phase to the transition. You're in the drive phase, you're pushing. But in the acceleration phase, maximum velocity, you're cycling. So what's generating the power at that point changes than what it is in the drive phase. So the connections have to change. And so that's one of many things that makes GXBolt uniquely different. And then it's, if we've never been able to train 70, 80 meters with resistance around the arms and legs, the question is, how much speed have we been leaving on the table? Because if you go back and look at the anatomy, and then you look at the research with GXBolt and the athletes that have trained on it, they continue to accelerate. You get out and you're like, okay, well, I can catch him. But no,
he's steady pushing forward.
He's steady pushing.
I call it Cadillacing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You can do 95 in the Cadillac feeling like 60.
Yeah. So. And that's what makes GXBolt significantly different than anything on the market. When we start talking about speed, it's a lot of different things. It's multiple phases. Nothing else talks about developing and training athletes in each and every phase.
Well, no machine does. You're right, because it's hard to get the total package unless you can apply force and mechanical integrity. Or what that means is, if you can keep the same fundamentals over an extended period of time and continue to build up speed.
Correct.
So, because that's the entire goal.
Correct.
With that said, who can use it? Like what are the best ages, the best athletes, the best sports? Or running is universal, running is an original sport, running is co-ed. So everybody has to learn how to do it, but there's always windows and levels.
Correct.
And so who would you suggest, what kind of athletes, beginners, novices, football players, experts, like who would you suggest?
So the youngest age you can start to utilize GXBolt is 8 because of the resistant band. So if you're starting to look at just working on getting out, right, just understanding the mechanics of getting out, and you want to add some resistance, you can have an 8-year-old start to work on the GXBolt.
Why 8? That's a great age.
That's the age where they start to develop functional strength, body strength, where you can start to implement certain drills, certain movements, the understanding, being able to communicate and accept and understand is the age that we found that athletes can start to pick up on.
You know what's funny? We have a motto at Performance Experience. You give me an athlete at 8 years old or 8th grade, will turn out the athlete you're looking for, because that's when they're the most impressionable.
Yeah.
That's when their body is changing the most. That's when they're more accepting mentally for they have more understanding. They have more opportunity to continue a task over an extended 8 years old in 8th grade. So that's why I asked that makes scientific sense. So when you invented a machine for the athlete for skill understanding, I mean, by the time they're 12, all they're doing is producing power and force.
Correct.
As they're going through puberty.
Correct.
That is like, that's a dream as athletic development,
Correct.
central nervous system development. Like the whole nine is like, that's the perfect storm. But that's why I asked. So from 8 years old until what?
I mean, you can never progress. So from 8 years old all the way to regular workout enthusiasts.
So you're tired of running.
CrossFit. I mean, but you can do stationary drills as well. So we have some other things that's in development, going a little bit in a somewhat different direction to showcase. It can be used in a regular gym,
Yeah.
you know, from an elderly person.
Yeah. So I'm confident that you want to get this to the world. Like the goal is every person with any aspiration for speed mechanics or a high level professionalism or as a dream to be an Olympic sprinter or somebody who's an instructor trying to master their craft. But who would you say needed to get this in their hands first? Who could do the most for the most people if they took what group? Are we talking about middle school coaches, college coaches, up and coming sports performance directors, at home workout enthusiasts? Like who do you think would have the most impact right away?
It would be the parents that have the athletes that are inspired, that have inspired athletes. It would be your trainers, your up and coming trainers, established trainers, guys that's working with junior high, high school, college, even professionals. The biggest misconception is one, when people see it in person, they're like, "Oh man, this thing is smaller than what it looks like obviously on the computer, internet, posters and things." But it can wear you out. It is a beast, and it doesn't matter whether you're youth or NFL, and it doesn't take that many reps. You know,
Right.
in some cases, less is best.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it.
And so anywhere from parents that have inspired athletes all the way to professional athletes, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis. Those athletes would be able to benefit from it greatly.
Love it. Now, here with Mark Potter, the inventor of the GXBolt, one of the premier speed apparatuses we know in this region at Performance Experience. We will have one in Mansfield, and we will also plan to have one in Euless. You've been over there to Euless. You've seen.
That's a nice facility.
Appreciate it, brother, how we operate there. And the moment you walked in the box, I was like, I'm thinking we're going to put that right back there in that corner right there and just see how it works. But as you are putting this to market, as you are getting this in the hands of the people, as you speak with the passion that you have for this understanding of this development, when you are using this, how much of this is enough for a workout? How much is too much? Can you overtrain on this? Is there a cycle for this? How much sense does it make in the use of the GXBolt?
So if you're talking about taking it to the field and running with the machine, we suggest 2 days a week. But because you can put it in your room or garage, inside your house and work on your core, work on isolated drills. I mean, you can use this thing as many as 5 days a week because you can train different components and facets of the body, of the movement, of what you're ultimately trying to get. So if you're going to run with it, we have a program that comes with the machine right now. It's a 3-day-a-week program where you utilize the machine 2 days a week. And then the third day is a mechanical day where you take what you've developed on the machine and then you start to perfect it off the machine. And then, but the program is a development program where it leads you into, it's a 6-week curriculum that leads you into and allows you to get really comfortable and familiar with the machine.
Right.
And that's the thing where you can never progress off of it. And it's deadly because if you're off of it for 2 weeks, and you come back, it's tough, and there's a lot of pictures I think we have on Facebook, Instagram, where you see kids bending over, laying down, throwing up and stuff like that. It's not where
They overworked or they're overexerting. It's
no,
just they're finding new muscles. Like whoa.
Yeah, these are 3 to 4 reps. You know, of 2 particular drills or 1 particular drill, but no more than 25 to 40 yards. And when you can have a machine that can work the entire body like that, you know that okay, this is speed from a
different world. Yeah, other world,
a new dimension.
Yeah. So Miss P,